Have you ever met someone who walked away from everything? A stable job, a long relationship, a life that looked perfectly fine from the outside? Most people call it impulsive, reckless even. But psychology tells a very different story. That decision to leave everything behind is rarely random. It's almost always the result of something quietly building for a very long time. Let's break down the hidden psychology behind why some people walk away from it all. 1. They've been silently suffocating. Psychologists call this chronic self-suppression, a pattern where a person repeatedly ignores their own needs, desires, and instincts to maintain a life that looks acceptable to others. Over time, that suppression builds pressure. Leaving isn't an impulse, it's a release valve. What looks like a sudden decision from the outside was usually years of quiet endurance on the inside. 2. Their identity no longer fits the life they're in. Research on identity dissonance shows that when who you are on the inside no longer matches the life you're living on the outside, psychological tension builds until something breaks. These people don't leave because they're ungrateful. They leave because staying would mean slowly disappearing. Walking away is how they survive themselves. 3. They've crossed an invisible threshold. Psychologists describe this as the threshold effect, the point where accumulated dissatisfaction finally outweighs the fear of change. It rarely happens loudly. One ordinary Tuesday, the weight tips, and a decision that seems shocking to everyone else feels like the most logical thing in the world to the person making it. They didn't snap. They simply reached their limit. 4. They have a high tolerance for uncertainty. People who leave everything behind tend to score high in a trait psychologists call ambiguity tolerance. They're not reckless. They're wired differently. Where most people see chaos, they see possibility. The unknown doesn't paralyze them. It pulls them forward. That courage isn't carelessness. It's a deeply held belief that something better is worth the risk. 5. They're choosing authenticity over comfort. Psychologists link this to self-determination theory, the human need to live in alignment with your true values and identity. People who leave aren't always chasing something exciting. Often they're escaping something suffocating. They choose a harder, uncertain life over a comfortable one that doesn't belong to them. And that takes more courage than most people realize. So the next time someone you know leaves everything behind, don't be so quick to judge. They might not be running away from their life. They might finally be running toward themselves. Sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is admit that the life they built no longer fits who they've become, and choose truth over comfort, even when it costs them everything. If you're drawn to understanding why people make the choices they do, subscribe now. Because on this channel, we don't just watch people's lives unfold, we decode the deeper story behind them.